Ladies and gents, welcome back to Talk Scottish Football, episode 113. 3 in a row we've done now, boys. We're absolutely fucking flying. Me and Dev and Jack were supposed to record something yesterday, but Dev got pulled away last minute. So Dev is going to come back because no people are worrying. Like, I was thinking about this, but what we should have done is like pretended we'd had a massive fallout. Like that would have been fucking brilliant, and then just milked it for all it's worth. Like when still the game went off the air, everyone thought we fell out. He'll be back soon, but I've got Adam and Callum with me. We're going to look forward to the League Cup semi-finals. We're gonna venture back to the last episode firstly because you two both weren't on this one, and we did our footballing pet peeves. Right, I know Adam's got a few. By the way, the response to that was amazing. The amount of people that were firing in with stuff was just fantastic. Adam, in particular, you can think of that really fucking grinds your gears.
Well, isn't it amazing how we all love football and all simultaneously have stuff that we hate about loving football?
There was lots.
Aside from like the standard short corners, hate all that. Late offside flags now as well. But mine, and I don't know if it's just a Tynecastle thing or whether this is my bias creeping in or what. See when you're chasing an equaliser or a winning goal in the game, and the ball people are late or too slow in returning the ball. That drives me insane.
And I hope you're not going to go on a rant. What was that Rangers podcast that went in the rant about woke ball boys? That was fucking...
Honest to God. Or what's even worse is when you're winning and they're giving them back like too quickly. It's like, slow down. We're trying to waste 6 seconds here. That's my boxing, man.
I remember when Scotland played France in 2007 home and away and we beat them at Hampden. The ball boys were taking ages, and in Paris they were just fucking launching them back. Callum, you get in you kind of thought of when we had that topic last week.
I think the one also you touched on it is see when the tunnel is away.
Especially at Tynecastle, especially. What's that all about?
Because it's so marginally off with Tynecastle. That's the downfall. I think Pittodrie's probably the worst for me. Pittodrie Paradise right in the corner, like.
But then, like, my favourite tunnel is the one at Rugby Park. I think the tunnel at Kelly is amazing because it's fucking tiny. Like you saw last season, the Kelly fans slapping. Was it the Hearts player?
Dundee United.
There was loads of things. That was good response to that. So we put another question this week about our favourite Hampden moments. We'll come to that at the end of the show. Again, loads of response to that. But we'll kick off with. Let's go to the semi-finals. We'll kick off with the Celtic on Saturday, Callum. So we'll start there. Obviously, you'll be full of confidence going into that one.
Definitely. I mean, obviously, having just played Kilmarnock there and fairly convincing. I think it was more just the fact of how long it took us to score more than anything that was annoying. I think obviously the only sort of changes you'll see in that Kerry team will be the likes of obviously everybody's talking about Will Lafferty. With him sort of coming into the team, it can be a bit of a nuisance. He's got a decent enough record against us. Any of the clubs he's played with, so it will be a bit of a pain, but you'd imagine Celtic comfortably go through.
Yeah, you would say so. I mean, there's been a lot of talk. Daniel Armstrong from Kelly was saying that it'll be different at Hampden, but I'm not sure. Adam, I never saw the Celtic game at the weekend against Kelly, but I don't imagine Celtic will be that. They didn't seem great, and I think Celtic will be better. So I can't see anything other than a hammering for Kelly.
No, because I'm not even all that convinced if Kelly have enough players to hurt Celtic. Lafferty aside, Dan Armstrong had a decent start to the season, sort of faded away recently. Scott Robinson's come back into the fold, but again, he's not played with Lafferty up there. I can't see him going
fit he is as well. I mean, is he fit? If he is, then definitely he's an asset.
That's the thing. I mean, Derek McInnes has said he's been doing cartwheels and what have you outside his office, but that's probably the only exercise that he's had really in it. So
yeah.
I don't know.
He played a bounce game this week. I think it was his first actual official game. So I'm assuming he came through that okay. But it's psychologically as well. He's a big figure to have at the top end of the pitch. He can hurt you if he does get chances. But I can just see him being isolated. And has he got 90 minutes in him? Probably not. So we'll see. I mean, I just can't see him. I mean, Celtic at Hampden as well tend to be pretty free flowing in their attacking football when they play there. So.
Am I right in saying that the last time they played Kelly at Hampden, they lost though? Is that right?
Yes, that was something I was going to later. Because I was going to ask you, do you remember who the goal scorer was?
Not a clue.
Dieter Van Turnhout.
Was it Dizao or something?
Dieter Van Turnhout. Anyway, it was 1-0, I think. It was that weird spell where Celtic were getting. I feel like Celtic were getting beat off Diddy teams at Hampden a lot back then. Like County did it, Inverness did it, Kelly did it. So that was a strange one. But no, I mean, it's going to be, if Killie has to get in, it'll be an absolute, it'll be one of the biggest shock he'll get. But I think of the two semi-finals, that'll be the one that. Are they both on TV? They're both on Premier Sports, are they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think the viewing figures for the one on Sunday are probably better. Kyle Lafferty, he's the only real story for Kelly. You've got to hope. But in terms of team selection for Celtic, Callum, where do we think we are now? Ryan mentioned something recently about Dyes and Maida now being, pretty much nailed on to be in that front three, whereas a couple of months ago you wouldn't have said that. But you'd imagine he'll start again this weekend.
Definitely. I mean, I think the game at Easter Road is probably what's given him the confidence that we've seen in recent weeks. For obviously, he missed that big chance where he hits the bar from 3 yards out with a header. You think a lot of players have just dropped their head at it, and you think, do you know what? That's what we expect from him at this point because of the way he's been. But for him to get the confidence to go and take the ball on the turn at halfway line, drive at players, and then cut in and get that finish. I think since then it's been a big turning point for him. I think even the first half hour, the derby, you seen it. He had the better at Tavernier. He was getting the turn on him. He was hitting the byline. If he can continue to do that, I think he's a definite start.
And again, I'm no surprise that this team's down south looking at him.
No, absolutely not. But if I was Dyes and Maida, I'd certainly be setting my sights on more than Southampton. I mean, the great win for them in the League Cup against Man City, I didn't see that coming. But to say that their odds against staying in the Premier League, I think is pretty much spot on.
So that's we're going to see more of that. Che Adams dumping Erling Haaland out of competitions when Norway faces in the World Cup qualifiers. That would be, or the Euros qualifiers. So that would be good. Score predictions. I'm going to say 5-0 Celtic. There you go.
Wow. 3-0 to Hibs.
I'll take 4-0.
Poor Kelly fans, man. I mean, but there's no way you're going to tell me there's a Kelly fan that doesn't think they're going to get humped this weekend. But again, though, romance the cup and all that. Who knows? But I mean, I have to say though, I do love these 5:30 kickoffs at Hampden, like cup semi-finals. They're a magic kickoff time. Like I remember going to a couple of Scotland games at that time. It's perfect for boozing beforehand and after if it goes well. So it'll be good. But let's go into the other game, which I think is is certainly the more unpredictable and the more exciting one on paper anyway. Rangers Aberdeen on Sunday. Now, if you're Aberdeen, I was going to say it's a free hit, but maybe it's not. But for Jim Goodwin, if he can get a win here, Adam, this is going to be, that would be absolutely huge considering the pressure he's been under.
And that pressure that probably emanated from the last time that they played Rangers. I think they've got something of, I don't want to say that this is lingering over them, but you're bound to be thinking the last time that we played them, we were minutes away from claiming a massive 3 points. Subsequently came away with nothing. I think Aberdeen will give Rangers a really good game. I do. I just think the win over St Johnstone is bound to have lifted their confidence. They could have scored a barrel load then. It seems like in recent matches, Aberdeen have been pretty wasteful in front of goal. At Hampden, they obviously can't afford to pass up these opportunities, which probably makes for a really exciting game. Again, though, as you say, it pretty much is set up for an Old Firm final, but I can't see it being as convincing for Rangers as it will for Celtic.
I think this will be a cracking game. I'm really looking forward to
so
that. I mean, I think Graham Shinnie coming back, Callum, is absolutely huge because Aberdeen have needed a bit of steel, a bit of leadership in that midfield. But also, I mean, I don't say they've been wasteful, but they've scored a lot of goals this season. And I think, I don't know about you, Callum, I think they've got to have a go at Rangers. If they sit in, I think Rangers will pick them apart eventually. But if they go and have a go, I think they've got every chance.
Definitely. I mean, we go back to the 3-2 game. Like, you seen it in the first half. They went out, tried to have a go and hurt Rangers. They looked the better team going into half time for me. They go and get that goal, they go 2-1 up, and then they make the same mistake Hibs made the week before at Ibrox. For the last half hour, they just sit in and just try and absorb it, but they've not got that calibre of player to be able to just sit in for the best part of half an hour and just continue to let Rangers have a hit at you. So I think if they can keep Rangers sort of on the back foot, keep themselves driving forward, I think they've got a decent enough chance.
They do have a chance. There was an interesting comment today from Aberdeen captain Anthony Stewart. I don't know if you saw this. He basically said that Antonio Cholak was a better striker than Alfredo Morelos. Now you can just see Morelos now scoring the winner. And the worst thing about this is his record against Aberdeen is actually fantastic when you look at it. It was an interesting one. I'm surprised he got drawn into that. He was obviously asked who he thought was better. But the week before a semi-final, Adam, you say nothing, don't you? I mean,
I'm a big fan of just letting your action do the talking on the park. This, as you say, it's just set up for Morelos, who's been I don't want to say non-existent, but he's certainly been a shadow of his former self in recent weeks, arguably months. He's asking for it. He really is. Yeah. But again, if he manages to shut out Alfredo Morelos, then it's a stroke of genius. So it goes one of two ways, doesn't it, really?
I think if you're flying high and full of confidence, you can maybe come up with something. But Aberdeen have hardly been.
I was going to say, it would then have to be justified in their confidence. I think that first win in, 3-4 league games?
Yeah. Speaking of captain's comments, Callum Tabernier's come out today as well and said that their sights are very much set on it. It would mean everything, was his words. Some that they've not won. None of that group have won. Well, McGregor will have won it before, I'd imagine, but this Rangers team haven't won the League Cup yet. And the one criticism, I think, really in the last few years is that they haven't really done it in the Cups. They only won the Scottish Cup last year, but they haven't won enough Cups in the last few years, and it's kind of important for them to give it a good fist.
Definitely. I think there's comment, I think it was Ryan Jack the other day as well, saying we're focused on a cup double. So that does seem as if Rangers are sort of saying, much like everybody else in Scotland, the league is sort of away from it. We do solely focus on this. So also, it would be a big thing for Rangers, as you said. The only players I think would be Davis and McGregor.
Did Ryan Jack win it with Aberdeen, maybe?
Back in 2013, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
But I think for the rest of them, especially the players that sort of just came in in the summer, it'll be a nice thing for them also if they were to go in. Hope they don't, but it'd be a nice wee touch for them.
It does kind of set the tempo as well. I know the gap is, it's substantial just now. I think the kind of feeling we've all kind of got is if there is another, say, 3 points go in Celtic's favour, that will probably be curtains. But if Rangers can get that first trophy, and the gap stays kind of where it is, it can, psychologically, Adam, play a big boost for them. I mean, I know that most of us don't think they'll win the league now, but they can't have that attitude because, all it does take is a couple of results in their favour and they're right back in it.
Of course, but again, they're fully aware that they can't afford any slip-up whatsoever. I think 16 points that they've amassed from the potential 18 under Beale so far.
Yeah, it's been a good start.
Is healthy. It is, and of course, there are a couple defensive mistakes away from shutting out Celtic and closing the gap. But that's again why they find themselves in this position, because it's the little mistakes like that seem to have picked up throughout the season and is coming back to ultimately bite them. They can't afford any slip-ups in the league. And ultimately, I think they still need to be at their best to beat Aberdeen at Hampden as well.
Yeah, I would say so. As I said, I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, let's just go for score predictions. I'll let you go first, Callum.
I think I fancy an 3-2 Rangers.
Okay, Adam.
I'll go 2-1 Rangers.
I'm gonna go. I've just got a sneaky feeling. I'm gonna go with 2-1 Aberdeen after extra time.
Wow.
I just have a feeling they might do it. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, but I certainly think it'll be a cracking game, and we'll see. A lot of Rangers fans are going to come for me for that, and they're not going to be happy. Anyway, let's move on, because there's a lot of, as Adam mentioned, there's a lot of important league business this weekend. The Jam Tarts are in action tomorrow night, but I'll just cross to you, Adam. You can take this section away. Hearts just made a new signing just before we came on air. Talk us through that one.
The signing's arguably more important than our game on Friday night. But the young Aussie, Garang Kuol, am I pronouncing that right?
That's, to be honest, the reason I handed to you is because I didn't have a fucking clue.
Thanks, mate. So I know that Newcastle picked him up from Central Coast Mariners. I believe he was playing with Kai Rolls out there. I believe he's also been playing with Jason Cummings. They've all played for that same club. Arrives with a decent pedigree. Is a legitimate wonder kid, so to speak. So why the hell they've settled on Tynecastle being the destination of development, I do not know. But yeah, it seems a fairly exciting signing. And yeah,
I was wondering if there was a link. If there was a link between like Newcastle and Hearts somewhere. Like, is there someone at Newcastle? Because as you say, it's a strange one.
Yeah, I don't think so. Ian Cathro had worked under Rafa Benitez,
obviously Hearts legend.
And we played them in a friendly, but other than that, I don't think we've had anything to do with Newcastle whatsoever. So that'd be a decent wee affiliate club now with the
Australian links. That would have helped, though. That definitely would have helped.
100%. And even you've seen that in the signing video where it's now Kuol and the gang with Kai Rolls, Cammy Devlin, and Nathaniel Atkinson. So yeah, looking forward to the game Friday night. Driving up.
A very tasty fixture. Hearts,
Yeah,
St Mirren tends
very
to be.
much so. Don't like each other. So fingers crossed that it leads to 3 points.
You would imagine so. Obviously, after it was last weekend, wasn't it? That's quite weird. How's that worked out?
Because of the Queen, this has been the postponed
Right,
fixture, and obviously with
just leave
both
it there
out the
because we're
League
just going to get
Cup.
ourselves in trouble.
Nice. Should have warned you about that beforehand.
Yeah, Christ, we'll get ourselves in trouble. Good job Ryan's not here, otherwise he wouldn't have bit his tongue. So that'll be interesting. I mean, St Mirren, we've been talking St Mirren up a lot recently, and they're only 5 points behind Hearts. It's kind of crazy, really, when you think about it. A win for St Mirren tomorrow night, Callum, and they're right, breathing down Hearts' neck.
Oh, definitely. I mean, a win would put them into 4th. Aye,
I would imagine so. Yeah.
Before
Aberdeen don't play this.
maybe. Yeah.
Oh, Aberdeen don't play.
Also because Aberdeen.
Play.
Aye.
Yeah.
But I mean,
or Livy potentially as well on Saturday.
Yeah.
Aye. But I mean, to be fair, from what I've managed to see the game, obviously just sports scene and such, but Hearts were fairly all over St Mirren. I think it was just a matter of it just wasn't their day at that point. Like, you could have played for another 90 minutes, I felt, for what I've seen, and you would never get like another goal in it. So I think it would be. I do see St Mirren just going to think of just sitting in, really, just try and take another point. Because I mean, a point to them at this point would be absolutely fantastic. So I keep themselves up near the top 6 and take that for a run.
They also do happen to have a game in hand, I've just noticed as well. I'm probably understanding how well St Mirren have done this season. It's kind of, they're looking very, very good. One thing I was going to ask you about, Adam, because I talked about it on the last show, from what I can gather from a few Hearts fans on Twitter, St Mirren's success, especially first half, came from stopping Robert Snodgrass and stopping him dictating the play. Obviously, second half he gets the goal, but initially they did a pretty good job at that.
Very much so. Hearts were miles off at first half. And as you say, like, the first goal obviously comes from a slack Robert Snodgrass pass. Then obviously Cammy Devlin fills in their free kick. But I don't think that's a bad point for Hearts in Paisley whatsoever. I mean, 10 unbeaten at home for St Mirren, considering Celtic have lost there. They held Rangers. I think the only team that's won there was a managerless Motherwell back in like July or August or something like that. So it's not an easy place to go. So couple that with hopefully a winning Gorgie and 4 points out the 6 is decent after all.
I've already predicted one shock so far, but I think Hearts will win, but I think it'll be 2-1. 2-1, I think it'll be tough. Again, is it on telly, Adam?
No, I don't think so.
That's a shame. That would have been a good game to watch tomorrow night. Callum, score prediction?
3-1 Hearts.
3-1, okay. And Adam, you're going to back the Hearts, obviously, as well.
I'll go 2-1, same as you, though. I think it'd be tough.
Nice. Going on to that team we mentioned, Livingston, they travel to St Johnstone on Saturday. Both teams who've had a reasonable season. St Johnstone, I think, are very much looking up the way now after a pretty sticky start. But Livy 5th. I mean, they could leapfrog Aberdeen, only a point behind, with a win on Saturday. Adam, we mentioned it on Monday's show. Davy Martindale is like a bit of a kind of character and a bit of a comedy figure almost, but I feel like he doesn't actually, maybe I'm wrong, but the job he's doing, I know it's such a phrase, what a job he's doing, but I mean, it is remarkable what he's got Livy doing. I mean, we're actually not really questioning it. They're sitting in the top 6, and that's just like, that's now normal, which is bizarre.
I think you need to only look at like Hibs and Aberdeen underperforming last year. How can Davy Martindale find these gems when Livingston have a fraction of the budget and nowhere near the resources that Aberdeen and Hibs have? It's unbelievable, the job that he's doing. I think they're assured for the top 6, Livy. I really do. And I think the thing I like most of all is the fact that previously, when Livy first came up, everybody sort of used the pitch and said that, they're only staying up because they're so good at home on that AstroTurf. They can pop it if they really so desire, I think, on grass as well. I think they're a good side. I do. They're a well-oiled machine. And I fancy them to go up to Perth and claim 3 points, because St Johnstone aren't in the best of fettle either. I think that's 4 straight league defeats. I wouldn't be surprised to see that become a 5th on Saturday at home to Livingston.
Adam mentioned there Hibs, Aberdeen have been faltering in recent times, Callum, but you never really hear Martindale linked with one of them jobs, though, which is strange, because his CV in recent times, would show he would maybe deserve a chance like that, but he's never really been one that's been rumoured for any of them kind of jobs.
No, I think it's because he's not really a manager that sort of puts himself out there, and like the aspect of, I'd quite fancy that job or such. I think he's fairly quite content with Livingston. I mean, he's doing a good enough job with them. 2-0 against Ross County last week. For what I've seen again, it's only going through sports and such, but they actually played fairly well against them. So, as Adam says, on the grass parks, it's not just or they'll take the results at home and hope for an away result. I think it is very surprising it hasn't been linked with, say, the Hibs job or such, but I mean, at this rate, it wouldn't surprise me if Hibs were to sack the manager and he gets in with a shout. So new manager every 2 weeks, but a feeling it.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. I think Livingston will probably win that one. I'm going to go 2-0 Livy. I think Bruce Anderson will score again. He had 2 last weekend. He seems to score in patches, Bruce Anderson. Like he'll go and get a good few in a few games and he'll be off the radar. But he always chips in, Adam.
He certainly does. He was a player who, I think it was last season or the season prior, I thought Livingston couldn't hang their hat upon. But the interesting fact is he's yet to play alongside Joel Newbley really this season, because Newbley, as Anderson was coming back, it seemed like Newbley got injured. So I'd like to see
pretty good options to have, aren't they?
Very much so. Very much so. And yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see him in amongst the goals. I'll go 2-1 Livy.
Callum?
I think I'm going to copy Adam there, 2-1 Livy.
Nice. Poor St Johnstone not getting much love on this show today, but we'll come back to them because there's a Hampden memory that I got mentioned earlier on. Right, let's move on. What else have we got in the Cinch Premiership this weekend? Hibernian and Dundee United, which on paper seems like a tasty tie. And here's some, right? I think Hibs are going to go on a wee run now. There you go. There's a prediction. I think Hibs will go and put a few wins together. I think they'll go. I know they've got. I think they've got a tough run coming up, but I think that they are going to see an upturn in form. Mainly because they've got a superstar up front who knows the back of the net is. Dundee United, who still sitting in 11th, but have kind of improved a little bit. I think in the form table going into last weekend, they were like 4th or something like that. And, against Rangers for the best part, Adam, I think they gave a reasonable account of themselves before Rangers became too much for them. But you'll obviously be hoping they get the job done this weekend.
What exactly are you insinuating?
Hibs are. It's crazy. Hibs are only 6 points behind Hearts when you think about the contrast in seasons.
And notice.
I mean, all we've heard is how well Hearts are doing. And
hold on a second. Notice how this run is coinciding with the fact that we play them at Easter Road in the Cup next week. Oh yeah, convenient that. I think it's a tough task for them this weekend against United, because ultimately, for the first half, I thought they were very good against Rangers, bar maybe a 5 minutes of madness spell. Would have fancied taking something out of the game. But I think it was back-to-back league wins prior to the Rangers game, so they entered that in decent form. I think Liam Fox basically made one change, and that was Stephen Fletcher trying to go long up against the Rangers centre-backs. Ultimately, that didn't work. And against Hibs, they might get some more opportunities that obviously they have to take, but should set up for an intriguing clash down Leith Way. So I think that'll be probably the standout of the Saturday fixtures for me, to be fair.
It is a massive run for Hibs, though. You've got Hibs, Dundee United this weekend, and Hearts in the Cup week after, and then they host Aberdeen at Easter Road the week after that. So, Nisbet started scoring goals, Callum. You know how much I'll just, keep talking about him. But it does make a massive difference when you've got a goal scorer at the top of the pitch. No matter how bad things are, if you get a player back who can score goals, you're gonna improve.
Definitely, I think it's the confidence that it gives the rest of the team, especially like working from the back forward. If you've got somebody that is scoring goals, getting your own results, albeit a hat-trick last week, if it was to nick a 1-0 win, it does wonders for your team. But I think, as you said, it is a big couple of weeks for Hibs, more so Lee Johnson. As I touched on, obviously, in a wee joking way before, like the way they go through managers. But I mean, from the past he's been running on just now, I think come the end of those 3 games we've just spoken about, I think it'll be interesting for him. If he takes a win in the Cup, maybe keeps his sailing for another couple of weeks.
That's the big one. If he does, if no matter what happens in the 2 league games, if he beats Hearts, it's going to be huge. Adam, what did you make of his kind of, his post-match press comments in the derby? I don't know if we covered it before, but he's been a bit defiant. He's kind of come out and, a lot of managers in his position might have kind of shirked away and, please don't sack me. But he's kind of gone on the aggressive with a number of things. First of all, he doesn't think the team are clinical enough. There's mediocrity and all that. And he kind of slagged the board for the handling of the Porteous contract situation. He's now come out today and said that they need to make sure they don't make the same mistake with Nisbet. He's been very kind of aggressive in what he said.
I would want to hear that as a Hibs fan.
Yeah, I think so too.
I don't think he's solely to blame. I think the whole Ryan Porteous thing is interesting because ultimately Ryan Porteous, his ceiling's far bigger than Hibs, if you're asking me. I mean, personally, I think he's got to go abroad. I wouldn't be too keen on him going down south. But I think he's probably looked at the last couple of years at Hibs and thought, there's no real identity. You know, I think Hibs had a model where they were signing young, hungry Scottish players. Ultimately, they've moved away from that. I've told you about. I'm not a fan of their recruitment approach whatsoever. It's very scattergun. As Callum says, they go through managers every couple of weeks. 19 games was nowhere near a lot and long enough for Sean Maloney to have his imprint on things. Yes, now you've got players that were a part of his squad, players part of Jack Ross's, players that Lee Johnson's brought in. So it's a bit of a mess that ultimately I think patience could be the deciding factor in all of this. Give him a little bit more time, and he needs to get rid of some of that deadwood because it's far too large a squad for Hibs. And it's all pretty much, I'd much rather quality over quantity, and I'm assuming that most of their fans would as well.
And the thing is, Callum, Hibs have got to, at some stage, just go, right, we are in a shambles of a situation when we've got to give a manager time. Doesn't matter, like, they can't keep sacking managers. They've got to give somebody time and recognise where they are. Otherwise, they will end up in this continuous cycle. As Adam says, you've got like 4 managers' teams merged into one there, and there's no fluidity at all. It's an absolute fucking shambles.
No, I think from a manager's point of view, it must be very frustrating because, as he said, you've got 3 managers previous to that, players in your squad. It's players that not so much you don't need or want, but it's like players that you've not got a clue how their style is and such.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a bit of a pain if you're then trying to implement your own style of play on them. I think, as Adam touched on with Sean Maloney, I mean, to only get a run in 19 games is very poor. And I think for that to be his first proper managerial run, I thought they would have properly gave him like a good run at it, at least a season worth.
But that's the mismanagement, isn't it? At a board level, you don't appoint Sean Maloney and give him 20 games. If you're going to appoint Sean Maloney, you've got to give him a couple of transfer windows. Otherwise, what is the point? You'd as well getting fucking Sam Allardyce in. You know what I mean? There's like, and if they don't seem to have a clear plan, and a lot of it coincides with Leanne Dempsey leaving the club. And I've mentioned this before. You know, since she's left the club, it's downhill massively. Anyway, as much as we're talking about how much our shambles Hibs are, I think we're going to win this weekend. So there you go. I'm going to go 3-1 Hibs.
I will go 2-1 Hibs.
Okay.
Same as that guy.
Yeah, same as that guy, yeah. Callum?
2-0 Hibs.
Okay, I like it. I think that is the final of the Premiership fixtures this weekend. I'm just going to make sure that I haven't missed anything. I think it's a game next week, but we'll come to that. Oh, no, I have missed a game. There's a game down the bottom. Adam, you should have corrected me on this.
Motherwell, Ross County, innit?
Motherwell, Ross County. Now, I had a wee rumour today on Twitter that Ross County are looking to bring in a certain Alex Lowry on loan from Rangers, which will be a few Rangers fans are not happy about because they all want him in the team, but there was strong rumours going around that he could be heading up to Dingwall. That'd be a massive signing for them, Adam, wouldn't it?
Very much so. Yeah, I think that's exactly what they need. Maybe push Ross Callahan back and kind of have Lowry just create. But is he going to really be lumping balls up to big Jordan White up front? I can't really see that. I don't know. It'd be a massive coup for Ross County, but whether they could pull that off, I don't know. You'd like to think, and this is no disrespect, of course, to the county, but that he'd have suitors all over elsewhere, perhaps bigger suitors. And is a relegation battle really what he wants to be involved in? I don't know, but be a good move, certainly, if they can pull it off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Callum, this game this weekend is, I think they're probably the 2 worst form sides in the team. Motherwell have got 2 draws in the last 5, 3 defeats, a draw and 4 defeats for County in the last 5. Both are really, really struggling. And I know it's only January, but the loser of this one is going to be really, really starting to kind of worry.
Definitely. I think, as also you touched on previously with the Lowry's transfer, I think Rangers most definitely need to sort of get him out playing first team football at the level that obviously they are playing against. Obviously, I think Ross County is a bit of I think because you touched on, they're a very defensive team. In a sense, they're not very like a team that's going to go out and be attacking with lots of the ball like you would have at Rangers. So I think it is a bit of a weird one, but in the same sense, sort of, who else does he go to?
Well, they sent Stephen Kelly there, didn't they, a couple of seasons ago? Stephen Kelly went up there.
Yeah, that's right.
2-3 seasons ago.
And he got plenty of game time, so that might be something they're thinking about. And as you say, playing against the opposition, he's going to have to play against for Rangers. But we're saying that these teams are both in rotten form, and Motherwell have got a game in hand over County, and they're 3 points ahead. If Motherwell can find a win this weekend, they go 6 clear of the bottom with a game in hand, it starts to not look as desperately bad as it is. You know, I mean, I know the phrase 6-pointer is overused, Adam, but this is the absolute definition.
Oh, it definitely is. A massive, massive basement battle But as you say, Motherwell.
You are a cliche machine today.
Thanks very much.
Firing them out. I'm loving it.
But Motherwell, in front of their own fans, home wins are hard to come by. There's a stat going about that they've won 3 home league matches since Boxing Day 2021. So not last Boxing Day, the Boxing Day beforehand. So it's going to be a big ask. I had no idea that their home record was that ranked, can I just say, because I fancied them to beat Hibs, given the run that they were on. But the wee Gogsy's trips to Fir Park ain't been worthwhile. Hopefully he's got one on Saturday.
Yeah, that's a mental stat. Before we come to the predictions of that, another bit of Motherwell news that broke today. Chief Executive Alan Burrows is to leave Motherwell, which is a massive kind of a blow. I mean, he's a kind of guy who is kind of known throughout Scottish football for the work they've done at Motherwell. I mean, for as much as it's pretty awful on the pitches now, Callum, off the pitch, they've kind of been everyone's kind of second favourite club recently. They've been so well run, a lot of the initiatives they've done, and he's been a huge part of that. That'll be a massive blow for them.
Oh, 100%. I think, as you said, the stuff off the pitch, it was one, I don't know if I don't really follow Motherwell Twitter, but it was somebody posted, I think they'd missed like a game as such, and they get a wee email through, and it was basically saying, it was just like a wee check-up to see if everything's all right. I thought it was quite a nice wee touch. But I know
loads of things like that.
It's quite nice to see that some clubs, but I think on the pitch, as you said, it's been a bit of a shambles. I think might even stretch as far back as I think it was a 3-2 game against Hearts. I think since then, I don't even know if they've gathered a win since. I think it's just draws and losses, maybe. It's a definite 6-pointer, as for what you cliche it.
The thing is, I mean, bad results in football make people think really kind of irrationally. But there was a few Motherwell fans on Twitter today on the post about him leaving that was said, well, it's all well and good us doing stuff well off the pitch, but we've got to start winning games, which is a bit cynical. But at the same time, if Motherwell go down this year, they lose their chief exec, finances start to really crumble. Before you know it, you can be in a bit of a sticky spot.
It really has come out the blue, because he, as far as I'm concerned, is a massive Motherwell diehard. I mean, I think you've even spoke about it, Dave, about how little games he's missed. There was some Raj stat where he'd missed one game in however many. So that it can't be off his side, surely. But yet he's the one that seemingly resigned. So
here's the thing.
I don't know if there's something in the background that we don't necessarily know about.
Well, just about a different spin on it. Dunfermline had a general manager a few years ago, and he was a Dunfermline season ticket holder, went home and away all the time, got a job working for the club, and he basically said by the end of it, working for the club, he didn't want to be, Eastern Park was the last place he wanted to be. Gone from being like, and that was kind of why, I mean, there's definitely that aspect. If you're in charge and you're a diehard fan, and
like
things are not going well, there must be an element of that. And also, he's going to be hurting as much as anyone's seen them get beat, but also at the same time, going to have to take the criticism. So, it would be a very, very tough job. But then again, maybe he's got something else lined up. I mean, he will be well sought after, I would have thought. But anyway, I wish him all the best. Seems like a really good guy and done wonderful stuff at Motherwell. Anyway, score predictions. I think Ross County are going to win. I think Motherwell will be in big trouble. I'm going to go 2-1 to Ross County.
I'm going to say that Motherwell will pick up their 4th win at Fir Park since Boxing Day 2021 by a 1-0.
You think County are doomed?
I do.
Okay. Callum?
2-1 Motherwell.
Okay. Nice.
Lansing to get a result.
Right, I'm going to jump into a bit of transfer talk before we go down the rest of the leagues, and we'll skim through them. But actually, we mentioned St Mirren, and there was something I wanted to bring up that I completely forgot about, but I'm going to have to bring it up now. They announced that they've made a 1.6 million loss in the last calendar year for the year ending May 2022. Adam, see when you just said that start at Motherwell, I forgot what fucking year it was. I thought, when you said it, I didn't think it was that impressive a stat. But now I've just realised we're in 2023. That is a mental stat.
That's terrible, isn't it? That's shocking.
Anyway, so 1.6 million loss for St Mirren, which seems like astronomical. That's a crazy amount of money to be losing, Adam.
And they said it was down to a significant transfer. Is that right? Am I right in saying that? Because there was talk of Jamie McGrath being the most paid St Mirren player ever. They've had compensation come in from Aberdeen for Jim Goodwin. So how have they still got a £1.6 million loss?
That loss includes those fees coming in. So I'm really struggling to see to see where they've lost it. Stephen Robinson's about to come out and said that it wasn't a shock to him, and they've already been putting procedures in place to cut things. Now, this is kind of the opposite. We're talking about how well Motherwell run off the park and how dreadful they've been on it. It's the complete opposite at St Mirren just now. A very, very strange one. And obviously, Celtic Rangers fans have been jumping on this on Twitter today because they made the decision to not give them 2 stands. And everyone thinks they're going to come crawling back. But we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, never good. I mean, it's hard. It's so hard for clubs to make money in Scotland. But to lose that amount is, will be a big, big worry for St Mirren and St Mirren fans. Right, Callum, I'll come to you next. I still haven't learned how to pronounce his name, but I'm going to go for it, right? Cho Gyu-sung, is that what we're saying? The Korean striker, is that how we're pronouncing it? See, I think that's how you pronounce it. Celtic are still in for him, but it seems to be kind of stuttering along a little bit, this move.
So from what I can gather, so obviously what's been said in such and Celtic Twitter, it's Minnesota United had put in a bid for him of 4.1 million, but both him and his agent have both come out and said no, like they'd much rather Europe. So they've sort of knocked that off altogether. But I think it's just sort of stuttering back and forth between us and Mainz. I think we're trying to say essentially we don't want them to use as a stepping stone club, but look at the route the players that have came to us have then progressed down to England. Yeah. So I think we're trying to put that forward as one of the main initiatives, saying even if you're only here for 2-3 years and then get your move down south, that's fine. But it's been a bit of a pain because we all thought, it's fine, we'll get it done over the line the way the transfers have been. I think this is the longest it's felt, and I don't know how many. Maybe the last
but I wonder how much of that to do is to do with Georgios Giakoumakis and whether or not he is going. I mean, again, that move seems to be taking ages.
Again, that's another one.
To Sampdoria I heard. There's still bids from Japan on the table. So, I mean, where he goes, Ryan spoke about this, Adam. The fees that have been talked about for Juranovic and Giakoumakis are nowhere near, I think, what people thought they were going to be.
No, and again, the destinations are a surprise. Like Monza for Juranovic was weird because there was talk. Was it not Tottenham as well? Like
Chelsea was the initial one.
Tottenham and Chelsea. And now I see today somebody's put forward the fact that he should go to Newcastle. Well, he's not displacing Kieran Trippier for a start, but I don't know. I'd have thought they'd be looking at 15, maybe 20 at a push, but certainly 15 minimum. And the fact that I think 7's quoted for Juranovic is weird. Surely they're just waiting to get both he and arguably Giakoumakis off the books to then go after this. They've
already replaced Juranovic, which is what I mentioned to
Johnstone.
Ryan. Yeah, I mentioned that to Ryan, Callum. I don't know what you think, but what if he now doesn't go? I mean, what happens to him now? Because Johnson's not coming here to sit on the bench, and he's come in and he started well. It could be one of those things where Juranovic, careful what you wish for, because it might not work out for him.
And you can't put him over to the left-hand side because now you've got Greg Taylor and Bernabei as well.
Did you see him in the Old Firm game when he went over to the left? Oh, fucking awful.
Yeah, honking.
So, Callum, it could be a strange one if he doesn't end up leaving.
Definitely. I think everybody, myself included, thought, right, that's it done. As soon as he comes back for international duty, January 1st, he'll sort of start getting his papers and that signed and he'll be away the first week in January. Now to the point that it has sort of started halting a bit, it is a bit confusing as to why we then straight away, like as soon as Canada get knocked out, straight away Johnson, all right, that's fine, we're signing him. So you'd have obviously thought the papers were just due to get signed and that was it. So it is a bit of a weird one. Juranovic, I think, comes out looking the worst of it in total if he doesn't end up moving, because I think Johnson, as you said, he's not come here to sit on the bench, and I don't see him getting dropped either.
We'll move on to this of Glasgow. Obviously, Rangers have been linked with Todd Cantwell very heavily, Adam, and apparently Blackburn have put a bid in that's been rejected. Now, this just seems to me like typical Rangers. They've identified the guy, we've known about it for ages, and they still haven't got him in. Now, if you want him, just go and pay the money. Rangers cannot afford to. Well, I'm not saying they can't afford him, but they can't afford to start. They've got to get players in. And Michael Beale, he must have been promised some sort of money.
What a curious choice of words there, Dave. Yeah. I don't know. Again, are they looking to kind of get a couple out? Like, I've got no idea because again, they're probably looking to gather something for Morelos because Beale's not even come out and said that he wants to keep. I mean, I'm going to assume he wants to keep Kent, but he's not come out and said he wants to keep
They can't lose Morelos this month because they don't have the backups.
But then you lose him for nothing in the summer.
But what would you rather? If you sell him now and you don't have someone coming in, you're relying on Kemar Roof to stay fit.
He's probably of a greater use to them throughout the remainder of the season to then lose him on a free.
Well, how much are they going to get from now, though? You're not going to get any more than
that's what I mean. So I don't know. I thought they'd have to make room as well in midfield if they're talking about Tom Davis as well, was it?
Yeah, that's what's gone a bit quiet. But the one thing is, Michael Beale-Callum has come out. He's made loads of good noises as far as Rangers are concerned about. He's so excited about the type of players to try to get in. But we're almost halfway through the month and he hasn't got anyone in yet. I mean, if you're a Celtic fan, you're pissing yourself because your business is pretty much done, and the only guy you're chasing is essentially a bonus if you lose Giakoumakis.
100%. I mean, obviously, as sort of nice again, it's been the same the last couple of windows. We've had sort of the business done nice and early. As you said, it's just the bonus of having that extra striker coming in, whereas it's been all this noise from sort of Beale across our side of the city saying, we're looking to do this, we're looking to do that, I'm not excited. But I think a fair bit of his transfer budget must have been into sort of the sacking of Van Bronckhorst, if you will, getting paying off the rest of these coaching staff. So I think he's maybe came in and they've said, you're lucky if you're pushing 10 million for the January window. Which again, for clubs up here to spend over 10 million, that player's obscene.
Well, we'll certainly have to see what happens. I'm sure we'll cover it in the next few shows. Final bit of transfer news. I want to come to you, Adam. Callum Patterson. Do you think he'll be back in Gorgie before the end of the month?
Certainly hope so. I think a lot of it's depended on Wednesday's recent form. Beating Newcastle in the Cup didn't help matters either. So it seems now that he's actually getting game time for Wednesday, which is the annoying thing. But we need somebody on the right-hand side at the back because Michael Smith is about 140 years old. Nathaniel Atkinson can't defend. So we're desperately crying out for a right back and we'll hopefully
Nathaniel Atkinson, you literally gave him the best chant for a right back ever and now he can't defend. What a waste.
It's the same though. Like they had a baddest of them all chant for Peter Haring, and then he just turned to complete muck. So it's basically cursing Hearts players when we come up for chants. So I think that's why the crowds remained silent for so long.
I would quite like to see Callum Patterson back in Scottish football because at the very least he's going to be entertaining no matter. He's always got a bit of part about him. Anyway, let's filter on. We're going to quickly go down through the lower leagues. The Championship, Cove Rangers last week got absolutely scudded by Queen's Park and went top.
Some return for Paul Hartley, that.
Oh, dearie me. He must be thinking, I got this muck promoted last season and now look at the state of them. Declan Glass has gone down though. He must be, I can tell you probably rate him, Adam. He's a good player, I can imagine. Yeah, see, I knew you'd like him. What else have we got? And so Queen's Park go to Inverness, which is a massive game. If Queen's Park can go up there and win, wow.
Is it as good as done?
No, it's not. But I mean, Callum, you're looking at Queen's Park could be in the Premiership next season. This is absolutely nuts.
I mean, do you know what? It'd be a breath of fresh air. It'd be nice to see somebody different instead of the usual, like, don't want to use the term yo-yo clubs because it's used a lot down south, but it would be nice to have somebody like completely different. That's
our third most
decorated
club back in the top flight. I mean, like everyone uses the phrase "sleeping giant," right? But surely Queen's Park invented that phrase. Like they won. I mean, they're the biggest team in Scotland. Now look at them. Albeit it was like 130 years ago. But yeah, it would be a really good story to see them back. What else can we talk about? Hamilton hosts Morton. Hamilton, I think, are doomed. Adam, what about you?
I think it's as good as done, mate. I really do. And I just. Aki's as well just seem like off the park. They're a total shambles with the stuff that comes out in terms of like, I see boys' social media accounts and whatever. Like, I'm surprised not more's been made of that. They just seem.
Me and Ryan spoke about it in the last show. We spoke about it in the last show, so thanks for not watching.
Can I just say they've taken the banter club sort of tag off Greenock Morton now?
Yeah, I used to always
the banter baton has been passed down from Morton.
It's the battle of the banter batons this weekend at Hamilton. That'll be interesting. And Dundee Thistle, I suppose, is the big game in the Championship this weekend, 3rd and 4th. Thistle is such a strange one. I mean, they go through like amazing form, then they're shite for ages, and then who knows? Dundee, we have to talk about this actually, because it was an absolute shambles midweek. Dunfermline Dundee getting called off 40 minutes before kickoff. I've been pushing it down all day. They didn't organise a pitch inspection. The ref turned up and went, "We can't fucking play on that," and the game was called off. So, just an absolute shambles from Dundee. And there was literally people waiting at the turnstiles to get in. And the most annoying thing for me was I was sitting in the house ready to watch it, BBC Alba, get my Duolingo out for the Gaelic translation, you know what I'm saying? And the team news comes out, and the film were playing fucking 3 strikers. I couldn't wait. Kevin O'Hara was back. I was like, come on. And then it fucking gets called off. So
I told you a lot when COVID hit. Scum club, Dundee. Scum club.
The fax procedure shite, and so
that's it. The spam folder needed looked in, but no joy.
Right, let's move on. League One. Dunfermline and Falkirk both should win this weekend. You'd imagine, Adam. Peterhead for us and Clyde for Falkirk. Anyone think Falkirk? Either you think Falkirk will catch Dunfermline? Am I going to make that prediction?
I thought it was going to be Falkirk's year, but apparently not. So there you go.
Well, I mean, I don't know why I'm fucking laughing. I shouldn't be jinxing it.
Shows what I know.
The gap is only 7 points, Callum, and it's been 7 points pretty much like all season. Yeah, I don't think I'll go into hiding. I think if we end up fucking this up now.
And I think, I mean,
it's if was done before, it would be fucking done there.
And it's your Twitter that's sort of kept me up to date. We haven't with Dunfermline, but I mean, 7 points, and by all means, from what you've been putting on Twitter, Dunfermline have been playing well this season, is it? So you'd be surprised.
People prefer my Twitter when we're not playing well. I think that's the most annoying thing for me. It's a lot quieter since Graham Donn's left the club, anyway. A man I'd never criticise. So let's finally come on to League Two. It's the thing, because normally when we're in the run of doing podcasts all the time, you've got like, I've said this to Ryan, we always kind of know what's going on just because you go through it every week. But I actually haven't had a clue what's been going on in League Two. So until I'd looked and seen Dumbarton were flying high, I was none the wiser. Adam, I'll get your thoughts on this quickly though. Just the one talking point I've got for League Two. Me and Ryan mentioned this. You've got Cove have come up, done really well, flown through the leagues. Kelty have flown through the leagues. Bonnyrigg now sit bottom. Do you think this is kind of the last of that wee kind of spell of teams that are going to come flying through?
Certainly hope so. I hope that Callum's use of Yo-Yo Club applies to Bonnyrigg Rose, because that would be very pleasing. But
what's your beef with Bonnyrigg Rose?
Well, I'm from Pennycook. As a fellow Midlothian town, it's just not about that.
Okay.
But it's mad because, again, they came up and it looked like they were a duck to water, really. They took to it really well. I think they were winning their first couple of games and were like one of the favourites to go up. And since then, it's just been an absolute car crash.
Well, last week was a disaster. Losing 4-0 to Albion Rovers, who are 9th, was an absolute shambles.
Shocking result. But again, like looking at the table, they're only 5 points off East Fife, who currently occupy the last playoff place. So it's by no means done. It's just really tight. And Dumbarton, obviously, given their shit hot start, look to have been running away with it. Then Stirling Albion have crept up there and are kind of pipping them. So I don't know. They're knocking on the door, and hopefully, I'd rather the Beanos get up than Dumbarton, but we'll wait and see.
We'll wait and see. Right, let's move on to our little segment that we've started doing these every week now. We're asking the viewers a question. Rather than the viewers ask us a question, we'll ask them a question. We'll go and see what they've asked. So I asked with the League Cup finals, what is everyone's favourite Hampden moments? And I wanted anything. The more obscure, the better with these kind of things. So to be fair, Ryan 118 has come in with a cracker, and he just put Michael Buffer, and I've completely forgotten about that. That Michael Buffer. What game was that, Cal? Was it Motherwell?
2-0 Motherwell, aye.
Yeah, Michael Buffer and the announcer at Hampden. That's absolutely bizarre. A lot of shouts. Warren Burke's put this in here. I'll see if I find someone else that can say it. J. Tomo 2005. Scott McTominay's goal against Israel. There's a lot of people who have put that one in there. That would be up there for me as well. I was at Hampden that night. That was a phenomenal kind of moment. Colin Lowry says Kilmarnock win the cup in 2012, as we mentioned earlier. And here's one. It's a Celtic fan. He says, in terms of worst moment, Craig beat his semi-final penalty against Celtic. Was that one of yours, Adam? You've got a few, right enough.
Well, this is it, because I could either bore everybody to tears with my Hearts moments, or I could go for like obscure ones, like you say. So,
right, it's surely it's in the law that you have to mention 5-1, is it not? Is that not in? And
the 4-0 Hartley hat-trick semi.
And Kingsley last year as well.
Yeah, only the 100% record against Hibs at Hampden. But also, there was the fact that Hibs conceded after 12 seconds against Aberdeen in a cup semi-final or a final. Do you remember that?
Semi-final.
Adam Rooney. I was pissing myself with my old man on the sofa watching that. Great view.
What year was that? Did Hibs not win, though? Was that the year Hibs won the cup?
No, they beat Dundee United in the semi.
Aye, because it was the Cummings penalty.
Yeah.
The Panenka.
Was that the League Cup that year, maybe?
It might have been.
I can't remember. I can't remember.
Or was that the final?
No.
Because I remember Aberdeen played Morton in a semi-final at Hampden as well. It's weird. They all kind of mix in that kind of that period of cup finals and semi-finals. But let's get through it. We'll come back to your Hearts ones because I want to give you time to expand a few of them in a bit.
Okay.
Callum, this is one that you'll probably have in your head as well. But we've had lots of shouts for the Christopher Jullien Cup final, the Fraser Forster Cup final, where Celtic were absolutely pumped for 90 minutes and still managed to win.
100%. I think, especially also over recent years, there's many a memory for us at Hampden, but that definitely has to be up there, more so because it was one of the most undeserved wins. I think it was one I seen in the comments somebody touched on, and hate to bring the pain back to Adam, but it was the treble with the Edward double. It's because it's that going down 1-0 right after half time. Fuck me, we've done it. Like, could have had the treble, and that was it. No, you've ruined it now. And then obviously we know what later happened after that when we shivered appointments. That was a pure turn of events.
Yeah, we've got Anthony Devine and Stuart M8, a load of numbers. I'm not going to read them out. And both said the Hibs game last season for Celtic with Kyogo's goals. There was Scott Doyle said Scotland beat Ukraine 3-0 recently, especially after getting done off them in the playoff. Jordan Gray with a fantastic comment. Remember watching Zidane's volley there live against Leverkusen, saying to my dad, that kid has potential to be special. Yeah, fantastic. A few Griffiths mentions. I mean, you kind of, if you think Hampden moment, you kind of can't not mention Griffiths, which is just kind of like it just sums up like what the fuck happened to him, you know. Had the world at his feet after that moment and made a complete arse of it. Craig Fairley with a really interesting shout that to be honest, I completely forgot this had happened. He said, for an occasion, the 2007 UEFA Cup final between Sevilla and Espanyol, which was at Hampden, and I'd completely fucking forgot about that. And he says, for a moment of joy, Rogic's goal against Aberdeen 2017, there's lots of them. Stephen Reeside says, Craig Beattie against Georgia. I don't remember that. Scotland 2007, Craig Beattie scored a winner against Georgia. That was a great moment. McFadden's goal against Holland, there's loads of them. But yeah, Callum, what is your actual? Have you got an actual top? Is Rogic, is it?
It probably would be, but failing that, I think. Nah, has to be that. It's just because it's going to penalties. It's going to penalties. Got extra time and penalties, of course. You get that goal, but everybody else, Aberdeen had a chance right from kickoff as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, if we could have went from such a high to such a low that quick, it would have been horrific.
Just to balance it out with the Rangers shirt, Ewan Starling says Yelovic's goal against Celtic. Was it 2010, that one? The one that hits the post?
That one, post. And it trickles over the line. Yeah, I
thought Yelovic was unbelievable, man. That doesn't, I don't think he really gets enough credit. Right, and for me, I'll throw out a Dunfermline one, and Adam, you'll like this one. 2007 Scottish Cup semi-final. Jim McIntyre's Panenka penalty against the Hibs to send us to the cup final. That was definitely up there. Che Adams' goal against Denmark, being at Hampden for that one was a cracker as well. But right, Adam, if I had to put a gun to your head, are we talking Hartley hat-trick 5-1 or it's got to be 5-1, isn't it?
Yeah, it's got to be Rudy's fifth, the 5-1.
Yeah.
Where it just kisses the inside of the post, majestic. Just thinking life cannot possibly get any better than this.
Poor Jasmine Craig at the back there. Poor James.
Well, we've had a fair share. Not enough, I might add. We're all greedy. We all want more. But
yeah, listen, you've done pretty well, I would say, in your lifetime.
In the Scottish Cup, I've done well. We need more in the League Cup because that Diddy Cup just keeps escaping us. I had the fear when I saw those semi-finals this weekend. It's just shite. But no matter.
There was another cracking tweet, and it was Paddy Garcia. He says his Hampden memory is him scoring in a 3-1 win in the school's under-18 Scottish Cup final in the early 90s. That's a great shout. You would never, if you're down the boozers, you're always going to be bringing that one up, aren't you? And Ramstein Wine Gary says Andrea Skella's goal for Dunfermline in the cup final in 2004, and then falling over the seats at the Hibs semi-final I just mentioned, and then up 6 rows down, which is always, it's been a good goal when that happens. So we'll see if we get any more memorable moments this weekend. Obviously, there was an Aberdeen fan as well. I've forgotten his name there. Couldn't find it, but he'd mentioned Lewis Ferguson's goal against Rangers in 2019.
Oh, that's a good one.
Hampden, which was the last time they played at Hampden, so they'll be hoping for a repeat of that. Right, Kennedy, you're our quiz master this week.
Yeah, courtesy of Matthew Duff Enterprises.
He's back with a bag. I thought he was out of business considering we'd been away for so long.
No, he rustled me up a couple of questions. Some of them are ranks, but some of them I'm going to use. So
he's giving you his time, and you're here slagging off his questions.
No, just a couple. For the most part, it's Matthew Duff Enterprises. So Callum, I've not been on a show with you for ages, so I'll give you the chance. Would you like set A or set B?
I'll take set B.
I always take set B. Never goes my way. So
right. So David, you are up first.
This isn't going to be rigged like last time, Adam, where like you got a Hearts question to win it last time. Is he going to get a Celtic question to win it? Let's just make sure that doesn't fucking happen again.
No, he's actually avoided a Celtic question.
And any Tommy Wright, Mark McGee questions, because you know what I'm like for getting them. Right, let's just go. Let's get it.
Well, there is one about a manager, Mr. Buick, and that's your first question. Which former Scotland international guided Stenhousemuir to victory on Saturday in their Warriors dugout debut?
Gary Naismith
is the correct answer, who led Stenny to a 2-1 victory over Stranraer.
Have you seen how much he looks like Bruce Forsyth, by the way? It's unbelievable. Oh, see the announcement graphic for him getting announced to Stenhousemuir. He looks so like Bruce Forsyth. It's ridiculous. He's aged like he's really old, Gary Naismith, which I can still remember him playing.
I'll leave go check that out. Callum, you can equalise here with Scotland youngster Billy Gilmore is set to start a Premier League this match under Roberto De Zerbi's management at Brighton and Hove Albion. True or false?
Well, I didn't even hear what you said there.
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Yeah, Billy Gilmore is yet to start a Premier League match this season under Roberto De Zerbi's management at Brighton and Hove Albion. True or false?
True.
It's false. He started the Arsenal game. We watched it in the pub, Callum. Fuck's sake.
Correct.
I was in the second half.
All right, Mr. Buick, it's over to you.
No, he got booked and I had Lallana, and it was just Gilmore that got booked.
So it was I.
That's a kick in the nuts. New Hearts forward Yutaro Oda signed from the same club that Celtic picked up Kyogo Furuhashi from. True or false?
True. Vissel Kobe, was it not?
Correct. Both swapped Vissel Kobe for Scotland. 2-0. Callum, back to you. Which non-Scottish Premiership club has won the most Scottish Cups?
I don't see it, none of them.
Interesting.
That's not a tough question.
What do I know about non-league?
Non-Premiership.
Which non-Scottish Premiership club has won the most Scottish Cups?
Sorry.
Still don't know.
I don't.
You're going to kick yourself.
Inverness?
Inverness! What a horrific show that is!
What did I pay attention to outside the SPFL?
Deary me.
I'm just thinking Scottish Cup.
There's only one. Jesus Christ. We talked about them earlier on. We talked about this club earlier on.
Spoke about many teams earlier on, David.
And it was to do with a conversation about Inverness. It's Queen's Park, is it not, Adam?
It's Queen's Park with 10, yeah. Then coincidentally, Callum, it's Clyde and Vale leave it with 3. I think Inverness have won it once.
They have won it once, yeah. Dunfermline have fucking won it twice.
Only Hibs have only won it 3 times. Next, David Buick, Greenock Morton are set to face Celtic in the Scottish Cup next weekend. But who grabbed the winning goal when the sides faced off at Parkhead in the League Cup back in 2013?
It was the gaffer, Dougie Emery, was it not?
It certainly was from the penalty spot, yes. Since you got 3-0 up.
Yeah.
Callum, you need to pull one back here. Otherwise, that's it. Which team is currently bottom of each Scottish Premiership Football League division?
Oh. Do I even know that answer?
So, i.e., Premiership, Championship, League 1 and League 2. Who's bottom of each one?
So, Bonnyrigg Rose was League 2. We spoke about them.
Yeah.
Then
Championship we mentioned as well.
Aye, that's what I'm trying to remember.
And the Prem, I think. I think it's only League 1.
He knows the Prem one, though, I think.
I'm trying to avoid that first. The Prem, like Prem's Ross County.
He's having
the other 2.
He's having a bell.
So you got County and Bonnyrigg Rose.
Hamilton.
Oh, he's still
Yeah.
out there. Right, League One.
Three at the 4, just League One.
League One.
It's my league. I'm 90% sure.
The Clyde.
Correct answer is Peterhead.
But Clyde 9th though.
Clyde are 9th.
So he's one off.
He's very unlucky.
No, that wasn't as bad as the Inverness shout. We'll let you off.
Aye. Oh, fuck off. I scored out 3 out of 4. That's
a kick in the nads, mate. Buick, which current Scottish Premiership manager earned the most caps for their country during their playing career?
Oh wow, what a great question that is. Well, it would have been Gio, I'd imagine, but he's gone now. Christ, that is a great question. Robbie Neilson didn't get many for Scotland. Did he get many for Scotland? Derek McInnes would have got a handful, maybe. Who else have we got? Jim Goodwin, maybe for Ireland, got a few. Malky Mackay, maybe he must have got a few Scotland caps. I'm probably missing someone really obvious. Am I missing someone really obvious? Michael Beale didn't play for England, I know that much. He'd be as well with fucking Ian Beale. I'm struggling. Hibs, Lee John. No, is it Robbie Neilson?
Is that your answer?
No, am I missing someone really obvious? I'm struggling now. I'm feeling I'm going to tip myself. Who else is in the Premier League? It's not Davy Martindale, is it? I'm gonna go Malky Mackay. No, Callum Davidson maybe. He had a few.
Who's your answer?
I'll go Malky Mackay.
I've done it to get here.
Malky Mackay must have a few Scotland caps, no?
Malky Mackay is incorrect. I was surprised that Callum Davidson's the correct answer.
Fuck! I almost said that!
And by some distance. So according to Matthew Duff Enterprises, Callum Davidson 19, Stephen Robinson 7, Malky Mackay 5, Big Ange 4, Derek McInnes 2, and
Robbie Neilson not got a cap.
Robbie Neilson, Jim Goodwin, and Stevie Hamill all on one. The rest none.
Oh wow.
So
Callum Davidson, yeah, I thought about it. I don't know. That's well.
Callum, over to you. Rangers striker Antonio Cholak started how many times for the Croatian national team in 2022?
That's a stinker of a question.
Jesus Christ.
Unless Matthew Duff's been having a dig here.
See, that does seem like it could be a dig.
Yeah, see if I was you, that's what I would say.
No, you're just saying that, so I guess that.
Well, Callum, let me give you some news. I don't think you're winning the quiz either way, mate.
No, neither. One.
Callum.
I'm saying 0.
Is it obvious? Is it 0?
Think who your quizmaster is, mate. A big fat zilch.
It did seem that one of the ones that seemed too obvious.
Yeah.
He played some stupid game.
Yeah, caps have only came in 2020 and 2021. He was good enough to give me that information as well. So thanks, Matty boy. Mr. Buick, your final question is: how many Scottish Premiership clubs are east of Stirling?
What a question that is, by the way.
Oh wow.
Oh wow. Oh wow. 5 I've got just now. Hold on, I've got more coming. I've got 6. I've got 7. I'm going to go 7.
The correct answer is 6.
Oh, bastard. Oh. See, I said Dingwall, but I'm not sure if it is.
No, it's not.
No, see,
what were your others?
So I had Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, Dundee United, St Johnstone, Livy. Is that it?
Yeah, that's a 6. No, that's your 6.
Well.
Mr. Craig, Kilmarnock manager Derek McInnes played for which 3 current Scottish Premiership clubs in his playing days?
I wouldn't have a clue, by the way. I know one.
Christ.
That'd be guessing.
But it's getting a guess and you go wrong. Like Rangers.
Yeah, that's the one I know.
Aye.
I was unsure on one of these.
Don't know when I came here for a month for Sundays. And
did he play for Aberdeen? Did he?
See, I've thought that, but I don't think so. I think
St Mirren, maybe. St Mirren's in my head.
No.
Oh, St Johnstone.
Whose question is this?
I'm just trying to help him out at this point by guessing all Scottish players.
I guess St Johnstone. We'd go St Johnstone, David.
Rangers, St Johnstone, and one other.
Who have you no guessed?
Does he just love managing his former clubs? Did he play for Kelly? Did he? No.
Nope.
Oh Christ! I don't know. Play for Hearts, Hibs, Motherwell. Hurry up! I need my dinner. I'm starving.
Dundee United. Some of one he's no guess.
United.
Yes. There you go. Come the one you didn't guess.
So there you go. It gave me a tiebreaker if you want to do it, but
hurry up! Let's get out of there quickly. I love a good question.
How many seats does Hampden Park hold when full at full capacity? How many seats does Hampden Park hold?
So
terribly worded question.
The nearest one wins. I take it.
Yes.
I'll go first. 50,396. I don't know.
Cal, fucking argument. I'll just be a cunt and go 51,000. I did a one
on the nose.
It will be 51,866.
Oh,
there you go. So Cal, you've nicked that. There you go.
Interesting. Right, that was very interesting. I still can't believe Callum thinks Inverness have won the third most Scottish caps in the country. That is absolutely.
Well, I need to brush up my knowledge and the rest. That
is almost as bad as the fucking Mark McGee Tommy Wright shout. You've got me out of jail that one. Anyway, right. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm with my dinner because I'm absolutely starving. See you later.